Sweet. All right, everyone, welcome to Unfiltered, Unqualified, where we give our unfiltered and unqualified, mainly unqualified opinions because we do not know much. Welcome. Woo. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
There we go. There's the enthusiasm.
Or as our viewers would know, we had a wonderful episode last week, but this week we are super excited to welcome back one of our favorite co-hosts, Kaden.
Woo.
Let's
Join
go.
us in space, Kaden.
I am here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
okay.
sweet.
He doesn't want to make us jealous with his naked body.
I'm literally trying to set up my camera right now. Don't
Nice.
lie, Joe.
Okay, no, keep it muted. We don't want to get jealous from your naked body, but take it away, Tanner.
All right. So, topic today is chivalry. So, what is chivalry? What do you guys think chivalry is?
I think it's a code of conduct for men to be considered good men.
Okay. What else?
Yeah, part of me is thinking like, I don't know. I think like chivalry today, I think is very men-centric, but I feel like in the past, it wasn't always like about the man. I'm totally, of course, unqualified in this, but I feel like in the past, it was like a way of life for the society. So it was like a whole community banding around chivalry, this idea that it's not just, oh, the man being great, but it's about like, oh, look, like as a community, work together to have a strong community. And I think the man was in the position that was most visibly seen as the chivalrous. But I don't know.
Okay. And we'll be getting into a little bit into is chivalry only for men or women later. But
Ooh,
yeah,
fun.
should be good. Kaden, any thoughts?
I think it's more. I think it's along the lines of kind of what Joseph and Nephi have both been saying. It's a code of rules, not really official rules, like no law really dictates it, but it's like a personal code of honor. Like it defines who you are if you follow it.
Love it. Yeah, I think those are all great definitions. But I think we all know that chivalry is all about retaking the Holy Land for the Mormon Church, right? Am I right?
There's
That's it. That's it.
That's what it's all about.
Is that like a beached ark of a beached Noah's Ark back there in the background?
Probably. Who knows what they were doing back then? But all right, so I just wanted to go over a brief, well, not super brief, but I want to go over a history of what chivalry is. So back in the ancient world, think Greek or Roman times, chivalry didn't exist yet, but they had more of an honor system, where Greeks arete and Roman virtus means courage, discipline, self-control. And these cultures celebrated the idea of warriors, of dying well, loyalty to your city and state. Your reputation is equal to your currency, about how honor could be lost and ruin a family for generations, and then protecting people is better than showing mercy to your enemies. So they weren't holding doors open or composing love letters, but they had their own code back then. The term chivalry actually was from the French word chevalerie, which means horse soldiering, and that was because most people who had a horse and fought on horses were knights. And chivalry was a code of honor developed between 1170 and 1220 BC. It's mainly a code for the knights and their social behaviors needed to follow these chivalrous codes. Part of it was because they were too violent. A lot of knights just went out and just started killing people and were just crazy. And so this code helped them to not do that. They were sworn to protect the weak, serve their lord, and defend their faith. So let's see. Yeah. So that's it for medieval chivalry. So if you guys could each take
Real
a
quick,
turn.
Tanner, can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, shoot.
Like, do you know kind of what made them band together? Was it just a whole bunch of knights got together and were like, we're freaked out by other knights? Was it like all the poor people who were the weak people were like, please don't, and they just felt merciful? Was it the lords that were like, let's put some structure into this?
Right. So that's a good question. These were put together mainly by the church, by kings, by higher up people. They basically needed a way to control their armies and the higher ups in the army.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so they wanted everyone to aspire to these codes so that way they would be like not killing people and rampaging all over the place. So
As you do when you get a horse.
exactly. If I had a horse, I would do that. So here are the 10 Commandments of
point.
Chivalry. If we could each go through and read, Joseph, could you read the first two, Kaden the next two, and Nephi the last one?
Yeah, real fast. They legit
Okay.
had these. Like,
Yeah,
this,
these are the 10 Commandments of Chivalry.
dang. Okay.
Yeah.
Thou shalt believe all that the church teaches, and thou shalt observe all its directions.
Wait, sorry. Before we
Thou
move
shalt-
on, my bad. I actually want us to go through and do we agree with these ones? Should we still hold these commandments? So what do you think about that first one? Believe all that the church teaches.
What church?
Our church. We'll say the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
I would say so. As long as it's coming from a duly appointed authority, speaking by the will of God and not as himself.
Yeah, I like that context that Kaden put on there. And like, are you meaning, Tanner, like if we were to have knights today, or just for like anybody today?
Yeah, just think like, would you uphold this code of conduct?
Oh, okay, cool.
Like, would you swear to this?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints is the true and church. By that I mean that it is like correct in its teachings, as Kaden said, it's duly ordained. So yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think likewise. I think that's always, I think one of the coolest ways to find out how freaky you are is doing stuff like this. Like, I don't know, I read this and I'm like, oh yeah, for me, my church, yeah. For someone else though, ooh, I don't know, that's a little sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm, exactly.
All right. So the next one, thou shalt defend the church. I think I can get behind that one. It's happened before, right?
Yeah.
Mainly in Joseph Smith's time, but
Well, I mean, not even in Joseph Smith's time. Like, you know, our church sends out missionaries, and what is it that they do? They go out and preach repentance, and those who don't accept repentance and attack the church and attack the missionaries, they will verbally, not physically, defend themselves and the church.
I get
Yeah.
that. Good point.
I think that's fair.
Dude, you're Kaden, you're still in all of my like what I think are deep thoughts before I even can think them, man.
Okay, well, I will remain silent. I
I
will
know.
take a
Please
vow
keep
of
sharing them.
silence.
Keep
No.
sharing them. We love it. We love it.
All right. So the next one, kid,
Thou
you want
shalt
that one?
respect all weaknesses, and shalt constitute thyself the defender of them.
I think when it says weaknesses, it means like weaker people.
I sure hope so, because otherwise, I don't want to defend my weak leg press.
All right. Thou shalt love the country in which thou wast born. What do you guys think about that one?
Orange. Oh, go for it, Kaden.
No,
Go for it.
you just got me, Nephi. You gotta take it off.
Dude, you're gonna like. Okay, we'll try this. I feel like you're gonna come in and be like, "Whoa," and I'm gonna be like,
Well,
yeah. So, okay, I love this idea because I think there's so much that like we owe to our country. I think it's like that idea that we're born, we're raised in whatever system we're in, and there's so many positives from the people who came before us that helped create the system in which we're in, and so we should be grateful for those positives. but I'm not as big of a fan of the idea of like swearing allegiance to the country just in and of itself. I think that there has to be ties behind what that country means, what it stands for. Like, yeah, I mean, like with the Constitution of the US, I feel like I'm more comfortable saying, oh, yeah, I pledge allegiance to the United States because I know more of what that country stands for based on the Constitution.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So say you were born in Peru and then you immigrated to the United States, would that count? Or would you have to like stick with Peru your entire life?
Yeah, that's where I'm like, man, like, I feel like I can be grateful for what I was given in Peru, or I can also be like, wow, man, that system really thrashed me. I don't know. But I think it's more important to have allegiance with the current, I guess, place of residence. Well, not necessarily residence, but like where you tie that loyalty, I guess, right? Like if I'm just like working in another country for the time being, but like I still like contribute my community to that country, that's where I'd probably say it's where the love should go.
I feel like we could think of it like for us here in the United States, we could think of it almost like shall love the state in which you're born. Because like I was born in Texas, lived in Virginia and Utah, and now I'm here in Nebraska. I love Texas, but I'd still rather be in Virginia or Utah. That doesn't mean I don't love Texas. I don't think loving where I am currently excludes loving where I came from. So I don't really see an issue with loving the country that you were born in.
I mean, I don't like California, and that's where I was born. So I'm breaking that one.
All right. Well, I guess that just means you're not chivalrous.
Yeah.
That's it.
I guess so.
Yeah, I guess
All
that's
right,
a good
next
point.
one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I agree. I was just thinking also like Joseph's earlier comment. I also thought that was like such a like mind-blowing comment. I've been still like thinking about it. Just that idea of like, well, yeah, what about for someone else, right? Like if everyone just loves the countries that they're all born in, then I think that creates, at least I think it leads to greater potential for like us versus them mentalities, right? Which I guess there was a lot of like feudalism and a lot of the my lord versus your lord type idea, right? So I don't know. Interesting.
Mhm.
I guess political tribalism.
Country,
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I guess I think kind of what you're saying about. I think a country is a necessary political evil, but largely that's government in general. That just government, period, is required due to evil things, due to theft, due to threats of violence, due to a need for taxation for the organization. I guess that's kind of what you're saying, Nephi. That, yeah, it's having a government is the lesser of two evils of government versus anarchy. But if everyone was saints, then maybe anarchy wouldn't be that bad.
Maybe. And I don't know. I guess there's also like positives that come with government, right? Because I do think that political movements, like the idea of a country, is like really just a bunch of people coming together is the idea, right? And I think that there's more power in unity. So yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of necessary evils that come with it, as well as I guess potential. So maybe that's why.
And like think of how a country is formed in the first place. Like it's a group of people, largely generally speaking, like-minded with a shared culture, a shared language. Like it's not like, two opposing forces saying like, hey, we're going to make a country together. It's people who agree on like a general idea on a culture. Like they live generally the same. If it's going to be a good culture, good country at least, then they say, hey, we need to protect ourselves, protect our family, protect our culture. Best way to do that is to form a government, defend each other, provide for each other. So I don't think government is necessarily a bad thing. I think it can get bad very quickly, but I think the primary purpose of government is not inherently bad. So I think that goes into part of loving the country in which you were born.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe I was
sound like someone.
Yeah.
You sound like someone employed by the government.
Oh no, I was found out.
Insider trading there. Yeah, I was also just gonna add. I don't know. Maybe if I was mischaracterizing what you were aiming at, Joseph, I didn't want to make your comment sound like, "Oh no, you're a government hater." I guess I don't know. You know what I mean? But, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm a
agree.
government
good.
hater. So,
Nice. All right, so my turn for the last one, right?
yeah.
Okay. Thou shalt not recoil before thine enemy. If I'm understanding this right, basically saying like, don't be a wimp. Like, face the hard stuff head on. Right?
Yeah. Like, don't run away.
Don't run away. Okay. Cool. Yeah,
Yep.
I think that one I feel less sure on because I feel like it's like time and a place. I think there's times when it's wise to run, just as when it's wise to stay and fight. So maybe I'm less sold on that one.
Okay. That
I
makes
think
sense.
I think it's less about like running from your issues and more facing the issues. Like I don't know if any of you have read Wheel of Time, but like one of my favorite quotes by one of the characters is like it was a very there were cultures in the series that were very like honor bound, and one of the characters came from one of those societies, and the character says like, I'm probably butchering it, but like there's one rule for being a man. It's whatever comes, face it on your feet. It's that sort of thing. Like it doesn't necessarily mean you can't run, can't regroup, can't fall back. It's whatever is coming, you're gonna face it one way or another.
I like that attitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can behind that.
I get behind that too. All right. So these are the next 5. These ones should be quick. Thou shalt make war against the infidel without cessation and without mercy.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All for that one.
All for that one.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. So the
So,
infidel,
is
is that
it-
like chastity or is that like treason? What is that like?
I think
Probably
back in the
like
Crusades it
non-believer.
meant the Muslims, but
Oh wow.
Probably
Yeah.
just like
Hey.
meant non-believer in general.
yeah.
Man. Yeah, I would disagree with that one.
I think that's fair. All right.
I would actually agree with this one. With like one stipulation, like physical war, yes, when you're threatened. But I think largely, and I think the church, if you read our scriptures, it kind of, I feel like it supports this, but I feel like if you make this a spiritual war, I think it's totally acceptable. Like you should aggressively make spiritual war against the unbelievers.
I get behind that. I guess respecting like their agency, not necessarily like forcing by the sword type idea. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You can't take away. Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm okay with this is because of, we're doing this from the point of our belief, our church, like our belief, our gospel teaches us that, agency is incredibly important. So it would go against our beliefs to take away someone's agency. So yes, with that stipulation, I would agree with this.
Okay. Yeah. Spiritual warfare. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. All right. So then thou shalt perform scrupulously thy feudal duties if they be not contrary to the laws of God. I think for us, it's more like just do your work, be honest, as long as it's not against the laws of God.
Yeah. What is it like
Yep.
the 12th
Mhm.
article of faith? Like, we believe in being subject to kings,
Rulers,
priests,
magistrates.
whatever.
and
Yeah.
honor and sustain the law. Or something. Yeah. Yeah. I
Render
agree
unto
with
Caesar that which is Caesar, unto God that which is God.
Yes.
Mhm.
that. Yes.
Thou shalt never lie and shalt remain faithful to thy pledged word. That's part of the temple recommend interview questions. So,
Yeah.
Thou shalt be generous and give largesse to everyone. I actually don't know what that word means. Let me look it up.
Is it largesse? Is it French like largesse?
It says
I might pronounce it most like lingerie, but I might get canceled because of that comment.
It is definitely lingerie. Generosity and bestowing
You
money or
solved it,
gifts upon
Nephi.
others.
Thanks, Joe. Sorry, what was it, Tanner?
Generosity and giving to others.
Mm.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like that's
charity.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, I
do
like
that. And then thou shalt be everywhere and always the champion of the right and the good against injustice and evil. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by thou shalt be everywhere. Is that just saying like everywhere you go, or is that saying like make sure that you go everywhere?
I think that's what it means.
I think it's like let your light so shine, like be like
Okay.
the candle set on the hill.
Yeah, I don't think it means be like God, like everywhere.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking like
Be
don't spread yourself too thin type idea. Like there are like separations in society. Like you can't do everything in life. So
Mhm.
pick a track, stay good in it, I guess. And,
Right.
Yeah.
So those are the 10 Commandments of Chivalry. We mainly agree with a lot of those. So I just thought that was
Take it
interesting.
from a bunch of historically upper, or I guess middle upper class white males, baby. Woo!
Yeah, let's go. All right. And just as a reminder, according to history.com, chivalry was partly invented to put ground rules on violent knights, less about helping peasants, more about keeping the elites from tearing each other and everyone else apart. So it's like a statement to these knights saying, yes, you can kill, but only the right people in the right way, and you're supposed to protect the weak, not just stop them. So is there like a modern equivalent of a knight that you guys can think of?
Navy
Like someone
SEALs.
with lots of power who's supposed to follow a code, whether written or unwritten.
Kaden. He
Yeah,
spies
Kaden.
on our phone calls,
Yeah.
and he's supposed to decide whether or not to sell it to China.
Yes.
Wait, actually?
Kind of.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, the man's
You're awesome,
crazy.
Kaden.
Yeah, I mean, I took a national security law class, and a lot of it was basically going through like U.S. equivalent of a chivalrous code of like, is this a war that we are justified in engaging in, or are these actions appropriate under the law?
Mm.
Yeah.
Rather than total war scenario.
In basic training, one of the things that they have you like there's a lot more like classroom work and study that you would think is involved in basic training, and part of it is like the law of war and the human cost to like whether determining like an action is acceptable or not, and then that's just like overall general guidelines and specifics and principles that they try and instill in everybody in basic. And then even with my job, like there's rules and laws about what we can and can't collect and listen in on and do certain things. And if we we do this thing, oh, we have to report it immediately. And then we can be charged if we do these things. So there are like we can do these things, but it's these these rules of chivalry that tell us no, you can't do this, and there will be consequences if you do.
I like that. It's interesting. So you follow your own code, basically, your guidebook, your rules.
Yes,
Otherwise you get reprimanded.
it's called the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Love it.
Fun side note, my professor for my national security law class was one of the main authors of that. So if you hated it, you can blame him. If you loved it,
What, the UCMJ?
yeah.
Oh wow. Tell him to be more mean towards officers.
We'll do.
That's hilarious. So I wanted to propose this question, since this was more to get violent knights or violent people to be less violent, to apply this more to our lives. We have our own codes, we have our own covenants. Does following those codes just change behavior, or does it change hearts, do you think?
I think that if we were to take like the chivalry code at face value, supposedly it changes hearts because we commit to believe in something, right? We commit to observe these things. And I think in observing something perfectly, you as a human do naturally change and you begin to conform to what you do. I think it's that idea of rationalization, right? Like we can rationalize away our sins, we can rationalize away immoral and ethical behavior type of stuff because we engage in that behavior. And so our heart is turned to that. I think in actuality, so while that's the facial case, like, yeah, you believe this stuff and yeah, you do this stuff correctly and you could change. Yeah, I think in actuality, there's a lot of people who might be under a code like this that aren't of the same heart.
I agree with Nephi. Going back to scriptures, I think you can look at the scribes and the Pharisees versus the people who Jesus hung out with. Scribes and Pharisees were supposedly like the most rigid adherents to the law, or I guess, the code of chivalry, and Christ still condemned them for basically giving lip service to the gospel, to the Mosaic law that they were supposed to be following, and called them hypocrites for doing it and not really meaning it. So I completely agree with Nephi.
Yes.
And you probably saw that a lot in the military too, where people followed the rules, but it's not like they loved them,
That's me every single day.
Yeah.
I got this rule. I have to do this. I am bound by law to follow this order and these rules. I have to shave my mustache so far. I can't let it grow. This is stupid, but I'm going to do it because I have to.
There you go. All right. So I just want to do a quick story about chivalry. How many of you guys are familiar with Richard I, the Lionheart, and Saladin, Sultan of Egypt and Syria?
Is that like Robin Hood? Okay.
I don't know.
Oh,
I think technically, Richard Lionheart is a character in the Robin Hood story.
Okay.
What?
Okay, that makes sense. So Richard I, he led a crusade, and Saladin led the other forces against the crusade. And so there's just this so many examples of chivalry between these two kings, right? One of them is in the middle of the war between those two forces. Richard I, he falls ill. I don't know to what. I didn't do that much research into it. But when Saladin heard about it, he sent his personal physician and a bunch of fruit to take care of Richard I, which is crazy. Like, these dudes were at war, and he was sending over help to the other king. And then at the end of the crusade, Richard was in a tough spot. His army was shrinking. He has no more money. The crusades are divided, and Saladin's troops are exhausted and also short on supplies. They negotiate, and during negotiations, Richard's horse dies, and Saladin gives him 2. And they basically honored each other in the middle of a war. And I don't think they were friends by any means, but they were chivalrous. So just a cool example there.
That's so interesting, though, because it's like you'd think you just kill your enemy, right? Like, send them poisonous fruit or something.
Right.
Good riddance, his horse died. But it also makes me be like, what does that mean for their treatment of their soldiers, right? Because it's like, sure, these kings might not be dying in the middle of the fight. I don't know. Maybe they were in the fight. I don't know. But I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, are they just supporting each other because they're enjoying their mind games on the battlefield? I don't know. Maybe that's too pessimistic of me.
Yeah, they were chivalrous towards each other, but not towards their troops, because Richard I executed 2,000 of Saladin's forces and did a bunch of other stuff that wasn't so chivalrous. But they were good to each other.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, so continuing on to more modern view of chivalry. So once we get into this pre-modern 19th, 20th century, it's more about gentleman's honor, dueling, military's codes, and it moves from the battlefield to the ballroom, from lance to etiquette. So instead of using your sword to hurt other people, it was more about being polite, keeping your word, not embarrassing yourself at a dance, not insulting a lady, don't cheat at cards, don't lay back down from an insult, and don't be crude in public. So we can see that it evolved into a more social aspect instead of a battlefield one.
Is that so? Is there a reason why they shifted calling it from chivalry to honor?
Well, they still called it chivalry, but it turned instead of a battlefield code, it became a social code.
Oh, okay.
And it became more unwritten, like you didn't swear to the code. So then in the modern era, Just a few examples is more just being a gentleman, expectations, car doors, paying the bill. Like Nephi said, it's more man focused. And feminism and equality has pushed back on some of these things. And how a lot of the new takes are focusing on protecting the vulnerable, not just the ladies. So that's the history of chivalry. So how can we be chivalrous in our time and day and age? What do you
Well,
guys
I can
think?
tell you this: if I'll be financially vulnerable and say I got $0, and you guys can be chivalrous and take me out to all the fancy food restaurants you want.
Huh.
No.
No, actually, though, I like that perspective, Tanner, of like specifically on that one commandment, talking about like protecting our weaknesses. I think that's really cool to think of, like lifting up the downtrodden, helping those who are disadvantaged, in the sense that we are to be Christ-like, that we are to be charitable, right? And so be generous and be able to help them to fight against forces that they cannot fight against by themselves, as long as it is, again, like obeying our Lord and obeying God's law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. So this is more of a side note, but what do you think about the small acts of like opening a door, paying for the bill, walking on the street side of the sidewalk? Is that about chivalry, and is it about like I respect you and want to care for you, or is it turned into I think you're weaker and you need my protection? Is it an ego thing?
I think it's less of a I think you're weak and like I need to do this for you, and more it's I care for you and I want to do this for you. Like I know you can, but you don't have to. Like you can let me do it. I think it's less like I said, I think it's less looking down on this person and saying you can lean on me to help take care of you.
I like that.
Yeah, because like for me, I feel like it's always been more about respect. It's not about whether or not the woman can do something. It's always been like, oh, you should open the door for someone on your date, or if you're married, or any woman, just because it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I've been trying to, when my wife's done with her dinner, I'll like try to take her dish to the sink, and make sure that she doesn't have to get up, that sort of thing.
That's nice.
So is that like, yeah, I think it's more about respect, and you should just do it.
Maybe to play devil's advocate here, push back a little bit. I'm also curious, Joseph. I'm not really letting you talk as much, so chin on this too. But you guys have probably heard of the idea of benevolent sexism, right? That like
I actually haven't. What is it?
Oh, okay. So benevolent sexism is the idea that we still treat people differently based on their sex, that they're a woman, for instance, but in a benevolent way, in like a nice way. So, I'll open the door for you, but it's not because I think you're weak. It's because, I need to like, I want to show you respect. I want to show that I care about you, that I want to do nice things for you because you're a woman. And the idea behind that is,
oh no, you're good. Actually, good.
And the idea behind that is that people are, I guess, of course, split on the idea of benevolent sexism. But from what I hear from like the feminism equality pushback on it, is that it is still creating inherent differences between the men and women. Like, for instance, to pay a bill, if a woman is a doctor and the dude is like a janitor, we would still think that it's benevolent sexism for the dude to pay the bill, even though, like, weaknesses aside, they're totally both capable of paying for it. Or if anything, the woman ideally would pay for it if we're going off of equity solutions, right? And so in that case, why does it feel weird then for the woman to pay for the bill? Because we're like, oh no, the guy should pay for it because she's a woman. So it's kind of basing off of not choices or the agency of the individuals, but off of the inherent unalterable facts that bias us one way or another. The individual.
Interesting.
Sorry, Tanner, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just gonna say men and women are different.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say. Is like you said, it's pushing like that there are inherent differences in men and women, and like I'd say it's because there are inherent differences between men and women. The man, like we believe to be generally true, like given by the family proclamation to the world, and just by nature and the hardwiring and biology of men versus women. Like the man is biologically meant to provide food. Like they're better equipped and able to do so. So I think like going to the pay the bill. Like yes, if the man's a janitor and the woman is a doctor, like I think it's less that it feels. I think it's less that the expectation is the man should pay for everything, and more the man should be able to provide as much as he is able. So like yes, if there is such a huge disparity, like that relationship or that interaction can be different, but I think inherently, biologically, and just by pure nature, like again going back to the bill, the man is meant to pay and provide and give the food to take care of his mate, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, there are inherent differences. I mean, we had that whole podcast on like a bunch of differences between men and women. What like I'm trying to like remember a specific one. Do you remember any of those specific ones, Joe? Because there were like physical and mental ones,
Yeah, there were lots of different ones, and I think it's very true that there are just documented physical differences. I guess one thought that I've had on this topic, though, I think when it comes to chivalry and kind of this code of conduct between the genders, I think that a lot of the pain and grief over it is more so a matter of the death of pop culture. I think that there's less of a inherent or moral connection behind the idea of opening a door for a woman, of whether that's right or whether that's wrong. And it's more so whether we all think that's right or whether we all think it's wrong. Because if some of us think that it's right and some of us think that it's wrong, that's when it's a problem, when you're opening a door. But in the past, when there was a pop culture of chivalry, like maybe not all, but I think vast majority of things, great, awesome. It was fantastic to have an understood, well popular code of conduct for men to follow that publicly sent the message, I am a good guy. I'm trying to be a good guy. I do the things that good guys do. And at least that's my opinion, that not all necessarily, but most of the chivalrous acts that I think of are contentious, not so much because they're right or wrong, but contentious because it's no longer the case that all of us think they're right and wrong. So
And
I don't know, that's my
I think it also kind of goes like with what Joseph is talking about, with like shoot, you just said it and I completely forgot it, so I'm going to continue talking.
You're totally good.
But I think it
if you need me to
also,
spam cat videos, I'll queue 50 right now. Or buy you time.
just have like a what is it, Subway Surfers playing in the background to keep me
some Minecraft gameplay.
Yeah. But I think it comes back to a couple of other things as well. I think it's like going back to the biological differences, and like the purpose between a man versus the purpose between a woman. Like I think like opening the door, paying the bill, that those sort of gestures, whether it's like pop culture or not, I think it's like the modern way of like a man trying to express to it's a modern way for a male to express to a female, like, hey, I want to take care of you. Like you can be safe with me because I want to take care of you. Like I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to do everything I can to keep you safe, provide, and to make your life comfortable. I think that's like the modern equivalent of that like biological primal urge to make your mate feel safe with you and want to be with you. And I think the pushback on that goes to, I think it's just, I don't have great thoughts on that sort of thing. I think it's prideful. I think it's, the stereotypical, like, I'm strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. None of this says none of this is like the opening the doors, paying the bills. It's none of it is saying you can't do that. It's, I want to do it for you so you don't have to. Like at no point is it saying you're lesser or incapable. It's, I want to take care of you. Like that's not a bad thing. And to push back against that, I think is just an act of pride to say, no, I'm as good as you and I don't appreciate the things you're doing. Even though you're trying
more
to do
about respect.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
Well,
Sweet.
Kaden, I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely think there are differences in the genders that we just won't be as good at each other in. You can ask Brooklyn. I try to get my voice up there sometimes, hit that falsetto, and I can't. I don't. But
and I totally agree. There are inherent differences I don't think, generally speaking, will ever be bridged fully, and I don't think they should be.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Well, sweet.
Basically, if we were to say this podcast, like these things like 5 years ago, man, none of us would ever get jobs again. I think now 5 years later, the whole What is a Woman documentary is not quite as controversial, but still spicy.
It definitely is. And yeah, I think the pendulum has definitely swung back the other way where people aren't as worried about it anymore. But
still plenty.
At least as visibly.
Yeah, as visibly. I was about to say, Nephi's giving me a smile of, I'm holding back words to not lose a job in the future, but I think you're actually going to say something else.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I'm holding backwards. I do think, though, that as far as benevolent sexism goes, like personally, like not just playing devil's advocate, what I genuinely do believe is I think that when we're coming at it from a perspective like what Kaden expressed, that this is me showing love for you, that then I think it is awesome. Call it like benevolent sexism, beautiful, right? But the very fact that it's something that's positive, that's done on the basis of sex, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. When it's coming from that principle of genuine love and doing it for the charity, understanding and all of that, right? Now, when it does come from that principle of pride, like Kaden expressed, of, oh, well, as a man, I'm biologically better at providing, so here's the bill. I got it covered. That's where I feel like there's issues, because even though you're doing a good thing on the basis of sex, it's like what Moroni teaches, right? That those who give a good gift but do so begrudgingly, it's as if they've never even given the gift in the first place.
So it's more about like intent.
Yes, I think so. And I think my understanding is like, as you described, right? Like, yeah, women would be frustrated when it's like, I'm not weaker. I can open up my own door, kind of an idea. And it's like, well, okay, biologically, statistically, yes, on general, women are not as strong as men, right? As a statistical fact. But in the context of opening a car door, of course, they're both equally able on average to open up a car door, but it becomes from that place of love, as Kaden expressed.
Well, and I guess the only caveat I would add on there is kind of what I was saying earlier, that I think a matter of pop culture, as long as both people agree to that. Because if there's a woman who feels offended by you opening the door, then even if the guy has good intentions, that's where it's probably a net negative than a net positive. I think it's not right to get super mad at someone who was trying to do a nice thing for you, and you can kind of communicate that that's not my preference, and it might be the preference of many other people. So I'm sorry if you're confused and you took a bet and you bet wrong, but
right.
Right? Like I'm not saying it's not confusing, but yeah, I'm saying that.
But if you're coming at it from the point of love and respect, then then the person who's doing it would be like, okay, yeah, no worries, you know.
Yeah, and I think implicit
Hopefully,
in that love and
but yeah,
respect,
I
if you're
think
really trying to
just the
show
fact,
that, right? If you're really
yeah,
trying to show
hopefully,
love and respect, it's also coming from how do they receive that, right? Like love languages, like I'm not going to be giving a gift to someone who prefers quality time, because like if I do that because, oh, I like gifts, then that's a selfish, prideful perspective because I'm focusing on me, right? If I really want to show them love and they want quality time, then I would spend quality time with them. So I guess that's where I'm coming from. My interpretation of love is like, oh, if this person really finds themselves as like appreciating me opening their car door, that's a place of love. Now, if this is a person that like finds that they are more empowered, that they really want to open their own car door, I think it comes from a place of love more for me to allow them to revel in that opportunity than it is for me to take that opportunity from them, be it as it may, right? So I guess that understanding I do think is essential in that perspective. But yeah, given that we don't
Yeah.
always know what everybody else wants, right?
yeah, I think that death of the pop culture of it being the expectation for everyone is what makes a lot of the pain and problem. But
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a very, very sharp perspective, very sharp understanding.
Sweet. So then switching gears a little bit. So how far would we go to protect our families? Like it says, chivalry has always been about risking yourself for others, most of the time, mostly. And knights mainly defended their faith, families, and territory. And I think that we already talked about the 10 Commandments of Chivalry. I think that we can say that we do those things and we can technically be knights, right? And yeah, I'd say today we defend these by sacrificing financially, physically, and emotionally. Less on the battlefield, more at work every day. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yep.
So I want you to think of an example. Who in your life would you say has shown the most chivalrous kind of protection? And what did that look like?
I think of my dad. I think how us as kids, we all loved living in Rexburg, Idaho. We thought it was amazing. We moved down to Texas, and it was not as amazing. Still lots of positives, but lots of heat, lots of big ants, lots of big everything. And we missed our friends back home, right? We missed the snow. And so within just 3 months, that meant dad switched completely his career trajectory. He's ended up taking 3 jobs, 2 of which were technically full-time positions for the last like decade plus, so that we could continue living in Rexburg, which I think is a huge sacrifice for families. I think, as well as the faith aspect, that he's been diligent in curating his own faith by example, not just by force, or not even just not just by, but not by force, but by example. And I think, of course, with that there's persuasion, right? But by defending his faith, his family, and of course, like where we're at, that territory, right? Like doing all he can to make sure that we're in the place that we wanted to be at, I think really was a modern day positive knight.
I think for me as well, it's also my dad. Growing up, like I didn't know what my dad did. I know more about what he did now. But growing up, like all I knew was that he, worked for a company. He had to drive 45 minutes to work. And like I didn't really appreciate, like, take your kids to work day was drive 45 minutes with dad and then get put into a conference room with all the other kids while he goes into the office to do the actual work. And like at the time, I really didn't appreciate, what that really meant. But now that I know what
that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
and it kind of felt that way as a kid. But now that I know more about what he did, like my dad knew that there were, like, I hate calling people evil because, we believe that everybody has inherent goodness and has the ability to choose between right and wrong and good and evil. If I think my dad personally had personal experiences and knew from those experiences, I think he has I think he met as close as you can get to an evil person, like a truly evil person. And at no point in my entire life until like a year ago did I know that that's what my dad did. Like he knew there were these people out there who, like I said, as close as you could get to pure evil. And yet he was willing to, drive 45 minutes, be to the office, work, a 9 to 5, and then drive 45 minutes home and not bring any of the emotional baggage of dealing with that sort of stuff into his family, because he was willing to be he was willing to be a shield between his family and everything else that was going on. And insofar as to not even let us know that's what he was dealing with.
That's awesome. FYI, for the record, Kaden's dad is like legitimately the government guy that was like, can't tell you what I'm doing or else I'd have to kill you. So
it was literally, well, not that far, but yeah, it was literally, yeah, he badges into an office, and if you don't have a badge, you don't get in. You don't know what's going on back there.
That is awesome. How about you, Joe?
Nephi stole it out of my mouth pretty hardcore. My dad, always pretty awesome, pretty cool, good guy. I know I've also just had some pretty good scout leaders and bishops before too, who I just know would take on some drama, and like, gosh dang, when you see a leader just take drama or criticism or some sort of load and just move on and still love the person. I don't know, there's something very stoic, there's something very chivalrous, something very manly to, I guess you could say, have thick skin to be trashed and to still care, So I think that's always a cool example.
That was cool. I think I'm going to go with Joseph and Nephi's dad too. Hop on that bandwagon. Because I worked up a summer with you guys in Stucco, and I was like blown away at how well you guys treated the women in your lives. Like, you would always hold the door open. You would always hold the chairs, for dinner, and say, like, have the princesses sit first, and you'd serve them. And that just like blew me away. I'd never seen anything like that before. I thought that was, for me, that it's a smaller thing than what you guys have said, but I always thought that was super cool, that was just the daily routine of chivalry for you guys.
that's cool.
All right. So then, is chivalry just for men? Nephi.
Thank you. Okay, as based off the last question, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, of course, all guys going for our all guys leaders, right? And in my mind, I was like, you know what? Like, my mom totally counts too. Like, defending the faith. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I can tell you that she has like gone out to serve somebody or has traveled across the country to help some relative or some friend move, and it has been a terribly toxic, like a tangibly toxic situation for her faith. And yet has stayed so strong to the gospel and has defended it fearlessly, even while showing empathy, as well as protecting her family. Like, oh my gosh, I feel like mama bear is a real thing, right? Like, for all of our moms, I feel like I've seen times where it's like they've come out, right? And it's a scary thing when mama bear's mad at you, but it's really nice when mama bear's on your own side, right? And I think way more often than not, it's always for her own kids, for her own family, and for her territory too. I think, like, at home, there were so many times as a kid, I remember sitting down to watch a show, and mom like might watch it for like 1 to 2 minutes, and then she's off to doing the laundry, off to doing this, off to doing that, which are like the menial tasks that typically I think like feminism is mad about. But at the same time, like, how else are these things getting done? Because really, it's mom who's making the family survive in like the own house that we're living in. She's protecting our territory, protecting our castle, and making sure that all the processes are actually happening, right? So I think epic that no way, chivalry is for more than just men.
Yeah, I definitely second that for Kyla too. She has done all of those things that you just described, and she's amazing at like loving our kids and making sure that we have good food and all that good stuff. So I definitely think that women can be chivalrous as well.
I definitely disagree.
I also disagree.
Ooh, I'm curious.
I just like, look, I think women totally can and do have some sort of like moral code that if they follow, everyone's like, oh yeah, you're good, and if they don't, then everyone's like, no, you're not. But I think the word chivalry, that has to do with men. Just definition semantics. That's fine.
Okay.
I think it's less than semantics. I think it's chivalry is for the men. Men's role is to provide and protect. I haven't found like quite the right word. The best word I found like is almost like a feminine grace for women. They're not there to provide. They do protect, but like the man is there to give shelter and to give protection, and the woman takes that shelter and turns it to a home. I think it's different rules. I think there's a lot of similarities and some crossover. But I think at the end of the day, the man's duty is different from a woman's duty. I think chivalry is for men and grace is for women.
There we have it. There's the opinions, folks. Love it. All right. So then last question, is chivalry dead?
Yes.
Yes. Generally speaking, yes.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know. I mean, of course, given the examples that I've given, right, my parents, thankfully they're alive and they still do great things. But like what Joseph said, I suppose, as far as the flashy title of, oh man, chivalry in terms of like what the world sees it as, I would say yes, very much so. Very much so. But based on the interpretation that I think you helped us to develop, Tanner, I would say no, definitely not. There's still codes of conduct and ways to show respect.
I think it's like what Joseph has been saying. Like, I think as far as pop culture is concerned and general acceptable behavior, I think it is dead. I think it is minority groups who still have that sort of sense of honor and duty that chivalry is meant to embody.
Interesting. Yeah, I could probably get behind that actually.
Tanner, say something while I try to Google something really fast.
Yeah, I think that chivalry is dead in the majority of the population. 100% too. I do think that people try to do the right thing generally, but I think that going above and beyond for the modern age in terms of chivalry, not many people do that anymore. So yeah, there we go. Do we need to say more?
Well,
I say one.
yeah, I was just gonna say, chivalry. So yeah, is chivalry dead? I'd say, as far as using that word, yeah, I think that's accurate. Fascinatingly, in 2022, a study analyzing gender roles in catastrophic events found that people report that the order of like evacuation when possible is women and children first. And is that not a chivalric ideal, So even though, yeah, I think it's true that the vast majority of our concepts of what chivalry is, opening doors and seats and the whatnot, standing when a woman enters the room, I think that there still are certain things that we do actually hold at large as a pop culture. The list is just a lot smaller now, but one of them is that if there's a burning building or a sinking Titanic, you get the women and the children off first. And most men, most women, and probably most children agree. So interesting. But do you have any closing thoughts before I actually steal the mic for a second again, Tanner?
Oh, like what do you mean steal the mic? Like to finish us off, or?
Oh, I'm gonna advertise our next topic.
Okay, yeah. Let me finish up then. All right. So I think that we should be modern knights, and that we could be better when it comes to chivalry and following our codes, protecting those that we love, and doing our best, even if it will cost us. And I'm sorry, Kaden, in advance. I made this earlier. I didn't realize that you would be here, but I had AI create night versions of ourselves.
I
And
love that I'm the sexy one.
Yeah. I mean, Joseph's got the chiseled
Hey.
jawline there. And
Yeah, man.
Yeah, to be honest, Joseph, I feel like you're the one with the most like Superman-esque features there.
I agree.
Total
That's so
Clark
funny.
Kent.
I feel like Tanner is the one that I have the hardest seeing it. Like I can see resemblance,
Yeah, it's the double
but I feel
chin.
like Nephi. That's so fun though. I love it. Dang.
Anyway, so just something I think that we could hold and do better. Kaden, even though you're not on this picture, I think that we can all aspire to be knights in our own lives and to be the protector of those that are weak and to be the best we can be for them. Thank you for watching this TED
Amen.
Talk.
Huzzah.
Woo! Thank you, Tanner. I
That's
loved it.
good. This was awesome.
That's good, man. I do love the Stoic Knight picture though. I need to change
Dude.
this for my LinkedIn profile.
Honestly, I'm like, I
Um,
need some plastic surgery now. Let's make this thing
I
happen.
know, right?
Yeah.
That tells me how to live my life.
Would you-
Also, fun note before
Would you mind
Joseph's
stop sharing
advertisement.
your? Oh, but go ahead.
Just out of cool thing, I guess, or maybe terrible thing, I guess, depending on perspective. But I think it's cool that Genoa was like huge empire during this time, right? Like super powerful, important, one of the first banking countries and everything. And they played a huge role in the Crusades. And even to this day, the city of Genoa has the Crusaders' flags and Crusader statues with the crosses throughout many of their municipalities and buildings. And so it's just really cool to see how much that tradition has stuck through.
The
That's
tradition of
cool.
death and conquest. Cool. Well, we are so excited for. We're so happy you had this presentation, Tanner. I thought this was a pretty fun one, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And just to do a little bit of a teaser for next week, we are going to be examining the
Capricious.
Yeah, I know how to say this word. Thank you. The capricious. Capricious. Examining the capricious mind. Bum, bum, bum. Newsflash: I'm actually shooting to do this Tuesday because I'm going to be traveling later in the week, and so if we could do that before I start traveling, Tuesday 9 p.m. that would work great for me. If that works for y'all. Player, same link as always, and I now realize we might need to change the link because we probably don't want people to have this link publicly on YouTube. So it'll be a different link than this one here now. And and why do we do this? Because we love hour-long slideshows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right on.
super excited.
Right on.
All right.
This was an absolute party, y'all. Excited to see you all next week. And with that, I'll stop the recording.
Don't forget to like